Hello and welcome to this short video in our series on constructive development theory. This presentation briefly outlines what cognitive intentions are and how we use them. So CDT focuses on how we construct our thinking using 50 cognitive shortcuts. It is these shortcuts that I will talk you through right now. My colleague Jeff once said this of cognitive intentions. Pause the video here to read the slide. A single cognitive intention is like a shortcut to your data sorting. You have habituated the sequence of thinking into a silo of filtered intentions and all out of awareness. It saves you having to remember your unique thinking style in each moment. For example, when you tie your shoelaces, you no longer have to think about doing it. You just do it. That is a heuristic that you have learned and embedded over time. Your thinking is not very different to this. We just use a different lens to begin with, so you act habitually as a result of these cognitive heuristics. Now, essentialism. A concept contains the essential information necessary to be able to distinguish its instances from its non-instances, which is called essentialism. In other words, using cognitive intentions, we can determine when someone is either using internal to filter their perceptions or not using internal to filter their perceptions. However, if we were to focus on a single cognitive intention, we would miss its integration into the larger system and the process of awareness by which the 50 considered cognitive intentions are measured. And these are the 50 cognitive intentions, divided into their collective categories of perception, motivation, motivation processing, and information processing. For example, how we process information if we are a project manager might be to look at the project as a whole, which is a global perspective, or in more detail, which you can guess the cognitive intention for that. This differentiation also allows us to divide the cognitive intentions into two categories on the next slide. Using Keegan's and Lasky's ideas, I mapped the 50 cognitive intentions to a social, emotional, or cognitive influence. On the left, these are a more felt sense or a somatic interpretation, whereas those on the right require a more cognitive approach. From a CDT perspective, we want to know what this combination means when compared to the next slide. How do we think and then behave if we have this score on our internal-external pair? The important thing to understand at this stage, before you might decide to come along and do one of our workshops, is that this opposite pattern has very different behavioural outcomes to the previous slide. For example, their locus of evaluation might be so external that they might require therapeutic interventions in the long term. And what both the previous slides is missing is the very essence of constructive development theory, the choice of using internal or external in the moment. This slide is essentially an illustration of the subject-object principle of Robert Keegan, but in cognitive intention form. And the person on this slide holds both of these as object and can thus choose either in the moment. That's the point. But really, it's about our cognitive intention combinations and how your unique thinking style is constructed from a position of intention, awareness, choice, and response. And this is the lens through which we look at each cognitive intention. For example, armed with this information, if we are coaching individuals on how they think rather than what they think their problem is, we focus on their construction of self, as this is a place from where they construct their problem. Consider the thinking of a nurse compared to a police officer or an architect. Their thinking is what took them to their chosen careers because they construct their thinking differently. They also construct their problems differently, so we start coaching them from that perspective. How aware are they of their intention in the moment, and what choices does this awareness create? In order to know this, we need a way of measuring it. And the awareness quotient is this measure of our awareness of our use of our cognitive intentions. Again, mapped to Robert Keegan's levels of adult development for ease of reference to vertical growth, which results in the following slide. The combinations allow us to map the stages of development to specific cognitive intentions that gives us a scale of development by each individual, but more importantly, they give us the precise blueprint from which we grow an individual's thinking in the moment, such as from AQ5 to AQ6. This forms the very essence of constructive development theory, our approach to vertical coaching and the platform that separates us on ethical grounds from other bodies out there. Thank you for listening and watching. Do get in touch today if you're interested in learning more about CDT, next level coaching, cognitive intentions, or the IAD in general. Many thanks.